Many fans may remember the best goalkeeper at the 2019 Women's World Cup.
Yeah, important to note Miedema's absence. She's injured her hip, plays for Arsenal in England, and the all-time top scorer for the Dutch national team. Opposite the Dutch today, the US 11 under Vlatko Andonovski. And Julie, to say that Vlatko has a embarrassment of riches, probably an understatement when we look at this 11.
Yes, and that's going to be the same back four we saw at the World Cup. Nair in goal, of course, as well. And actually the same midfield as well for the United States with those three. Interestingly enough, Rose Lavelle in the starting 11 after not having played her last match at Man City due to a minor hamstring injury. We're told she will probably get a half today. And as we mentioned before, two of those front three difference from that starting 11 at the World Cup. Lynn Williams in the starting 11 after being one of the last cuts from the World Cup roster.
And of course, the footballing world reeling from the death of Diego Armando Maradona earlier this week. Both teams observing a moment of silence. Diego Maradona passing away Wednesday in his native Argentina of heart failure. You have seen tributes from around the globe, and this match no different. Just about set to get underway. It's the United States and the Netherlands. Again, a rematch of the 2019 World Cup final, a game the U.S. won by a final score of 2-0. Julie Foudy, Sebastian Salazar with you. And we are underway for the first time in some 8 months. The best women's national team in the world is back in action. U.S. in the all-blue kit, going right to left across your screen. The Dutch in their famous orange, going left to right. Crystal Dunn searching for Sam Mewis. U.S. first to possess.
Sebastian, I know we said that the players are excited to start. I'm pretty excited as well. 8.5 months.
Crazy to think it was that long ago, Julie, that we were in Dallas for the end of the She Believes Cup. I've said this, but it does seem like a lifetime ago. Tobin Heath. Aggressive in her press. Sliding it across, and nearly an early goal for the Americans. Lynn Williams in the neighborhood, but couldn't apply the finishing touch.
Encouraging sign, though, for the United States early on, only in this first minute. Tobin Heath getting in line, finding a little seam. You can see she's got plenty of time to try and pick that out. Lynn Williams just coming on the wrong side of that defender, trying to get near side of her when the ball was far side of her.
Ball out of bounds on the far sideline. Thrown will go to the Netherlands. Again, we mentioned no Serena Wiegman on the Dutch bench today. Pressing family commitment has taken her away from the team. However, Arjen Vurink, her top assistant, in charge. Wiegman, of course, will take over the English national team after the upcoming Olympics. Rose Lavelle for Abby Dahlkemper now. Kelly O'Hara on the far side. Silky touch from Lavelle. Give and go with Williams. Long switch, headed down. And Sari van Veenendaal. Goalie for the Dutch, one of the stars, as you mentioned, Julie, of their run to the 2019 World Cup final.
She's actually missed the last 2 European qualifiers for the Dutch, out with a hip injury. Van Veenendaal just back into the lineup, and they're pleased to have her, one of the most experienced on the team, the oldest on the team at 30 years old, which seems quite young by our US standards.
Headed down beautifully by Lynn Williams. Touch escapes Rose Lavelle, who does a nice job pressing ball out of bounds for a throw into the Dutch. 4 minutes into this game, really just the one chance early on from a Tobin Heath cross. Daniela van de Donk, the number 10 for the Dutch, sprays it wide. Lynn Wilms. Annette Bierenstein applying the pressure on Becky Sauerbrunn. The veteran captain there sees it out of play.
And every indication from Vlatko Andonovski is, even though these players are not 90 minutes fit, and understandably so given all the challenges of COVID and this year, he said in practice it has been amazing to see the commitment, of course, the mentality, how well they've been playing given all the challenges they faced this year.
Van de Donk loses out to Ertz. Dutch maintain possession. You saw on Vlatko Andonovski's jersey the message Black Lives Matter. Players wearing a similar message on their warm-up uniforms today ahead of the match. Give you a little more context on that later in the broadcast. And also check the players' social media channels. Players releasing a unified statement in the hours before kickoff. Dutch now with share of the possession. Ball served into the box. Jill Roord, the closest to it. But Becky Sauerbrunn wins out, and the Americans take over. Julia Dimitrescu leading an all-Romanian crew as the center ref tonight. 6-hour time difference between the United States and the Netherlands, just after 6:30. (44 Fahrenheit in Breda, overcast. Jackie Groenen, the captain, applies her trade with Manchester United. Teammate with Kristen Press and Tobin Heath in what is the Women's Super League, top flight over in England. Lika Martens.
I think the challenge for the United States, too, you're playing a very technically gifted team in the Dutch.
Van Veenendaal under pressure. Manages to find Wilms on the near sideline, but Crystal Dunn there. Now Tobin Heath in a one-on-one. Draws contact from behind and draws the foul. Dangerous set piece coming up here, Julie, for the United States.
Yeah, and a perfect example of just what I was going to say. They have to pick their moments to press, because obviously they're not fit to high press as much as they'd like to. Here you see the press from Dunn, giving it up to Tobin Heath, winning the ball in a great territory, and now a dangerous set piece that comes with that.
Heath standing over the ball. Van Veenendaal sets up her wall. 7 minutes into this one. Six targets for Heath in the penalty area. Driven to the spot, chested down, and only half cleared away. Heath will get another crack at it, this time with her left foot. Van de Donk clears. Still not to safety for the Dutch. Now Groenen. Jill Roord, the number 19, leading the line for the Netherlands in the absence of Vivian Miedema. All-time top scorer for this national side.
What a huge loss for the Dutch. Not having Miedema out with a hip injury.
O'Hara, one-on-one, into the penalty area. O'Hara to the line, chips it across. Headed out for a corner kick. Miedema, the leading scorer in both the Women's Super League last season and the Champions League.
And this is something you're going to want to see, that the U.S. is going to want to see from those outside backs all day long against the Dutch. Both teams setting up in that 4-3-3 system. Lots of room on the flanks.
Crystal Dunn checking short. Should be an in-swinger from Heath. Well struck. Knocked down in the box. Ertz there. The Dutch have scuttled it away and now can break. No problem, the counterattack for this American defense. Heath clipping it forward. Van Veenendaal beats press to it, if not. The Americans may have been in. 9 minutes down here in the Netherlands. First U.S. game since March of this year. And they ran through England, Spain, and Japan en route to the 2020 She Believes Cup title. First game for the United States outside the country since the World Cup final in Lyon. Press heads it in behind. Lynn Williams a touch. Thought she'd earned a corner kick instead. It'll be a goal kick to the Netherlands.
And of the 23 players brought in to this training camp, 14 in the NWSL, 7, of course, playing in Europe, 2 in college. And you can see the difference, obviously, with NWSL having some of its challenges. It had the Challenge Cup, it had the Fall Series, but those 14 players that are in the NWSL, not all of them did the Challenge Cup, not all of them did the Fall Series. Some didn't do both for various reasons. And so how many minutes with 6 subs you can get out of these players is something that Vlatko Andonovski has to pay great attention to.
Julie Ertz takes a shot in the middle of the field. Don't call it a friendly.
Van de Donk coming in here.
Yeah, I think Van de Donk wanted the foul first, and when she didn't get it, took justice into her own hands. Dahlkemper searching for Williams. Williams, one of the few players that has really worked her way into this team since the last World Cup. Her role continues to grow. If you've not seen Lynn Williams play much before, she's fast, and that'll come out on your screens at any moment.
I mean, the beauty of Lynn Williams, too, of course, Sebastian, is she, with that pace, she stretches that back line, opens up a little more space for your midfield to play into. I was always very appreciative of very fast forwards as a midfielder. Thank you very much for creating a little more space for us.
Ertz nearly had Heath picked out. Well done from Wilms with the interception. Groenen back into the middle. Double team now. And the Dutch happy to keep possession. Well, very little penetration of the American line so far. 12 minutes in, still 0-0. Not all that different from the World Cup final, Julie. It was a game that had a lot of tension until finally the U.S. broke through.
Yeah, and not until the second half in that game. A lot of tension in that first half. That's what I remember from that day.
Wilms with time and space. Ahead to Groenen. She's got acres of green in front of her. Groenen charging at the American defense. The captain slips it wide for Beerenstein. To the back post. Lieke Martens, ever so dangerous. The 11 for the Dutch. Sherida Spitza, one of the more experienced players Roared.
And that gap where you saw Uswnt in between, and you see with those three midfielders, sometimes they're pushing Mewis and Rose Lavelle.
What if one choir could change the world? From executive producer Pharrell Williams comes Voices of Fire, a story about the building of one choir and the power of the human voice. Follow their journey, witness their magic. Voices of Fire, now streaming only on Netflix.
Both high, there becomes this gap behind them with only Uswnt in behind between the back line and that midfield.
Amazing, Julie. You can hear the communication from the back line, just to each other, really. You could hear instructions being called out there for Kelly O'Hara. One of the few benefits of having these games, in empty stadiums.
Of no fans.
Dahlkemper heads it back to Alyssa Nair, getting her first action of the night. Chicago Red Stars goalie. Heath playing centrally. Press wide, ahead for Mewis. Mewis looking for a cross. Anik Nowen cutting it out at the near post. Corner kick coming up for the U.S.
Such a hard run to track coming out of midfield, Sam Mewis. We've seen her do this so well with Manchester City as well. Given a lot of freedom to get forward, of course.
Second corner kick of the match for the United States. Keep an eye on the near post. Heath, the in-swinger. We're done. Heath caught in a corner, working against Martins. And a good one-on-one challenge there, though. Lika Martins grabbing her right knee. And this is a real serious concern, not just for the Dutch national team, also for Barcelona, where she plies her trade at the club level. Martin's 117th appearance with her national team, 46 goals, her count so far.
Good to see her back up and running around.
Heath drives it again to the near post. Janssen there to head it away. Williams flicks it wide. Can Heath keep it in? Yes, to the near post. Press fighting. Martins fends her first to it. U.S. pressure causing all sorts of problems for the Dutch. Lavelle on that left foot. Oh, she wanted the through ball for press. Maybe that, Julie, a sign of players who haven't gotten to work together a lot in the last year.
Yeah, I know, and I mean, on top of all the other things we've listed of challenges, is they just haven't had time. I mean, that was one of the things that Vlatko Andonovski, press coming again. Crystal Dunn, Mewis on that side, giving the high press there to win the ball back. But that was one of the other challenges Vlatko Andonovski talked about is, you know, as a new coach, you have so many things you want to layer in and add and build upon. And he said, but first we had to actually take 2 steps back before we could even start marching forward. And that's with the October camp, but you didn't have any European players in that October camp. So really the first time he's had his full group together here in Holland since the She Believes Cup. They did do, as we discussed with him, a ton of Zoom calls, which everyone can relate to.
I wonder if they called him Mr. Andonovski like an elementary school teacher. I can just imagine, you know? Ball takes a deflection, and Lynn Williams has a chance here. Cuts it back onto her right foot. Williams, a shot just over the bar.
Gets lucky with this little bounce here. Press realizing she's possibly in an offside position, just holds. Lynn Williams, nice little cut just to get a little gap. All she needs is a half window. So close. You can see exactly where she wants that one.
Yeah, that ball was dipping too. Dutch really pinned deep in their own half for most of the opening 18 minutes. U.S. not looking too much worse for the wear for the time off. Of course, as you mentioned, Julie, it hasn't been totally time off. NWSL has had its seasons, and many of these players now playing in Europe to get minutes. Berenstein, the interception. She plays for Bayern Munich. Intense pressure here from the U.S.
And you can hear them say, let's go, let's go. Picking their moments when they do want to press.
There is space in behind the American back line, but the Dutch have been able to find it yet. More pressure now from the far side. Lynn Williams closing in on Van Veenendaal, who has little choice but to send. And the Dutch will get a moment of pause to gather possession. And those of you expecting to see Serena Wiegman on the sideline for the Dutch, that's her top assistant, Arjen Boerink, takes over today. Wiegman away on a pressing family commitment. Wiegman days with this Dutch team are numbered. She's already accepted the job to take over for Phil Neville in England come September of 2021. Of course, she took this Dutch team to the 2017 European Championship on 2022 Euros. Will be in England.
And what Wiegman has done with this team, I mean, their ascension has been quick. 2015 World Cup was their first.
O'Hara, one-time ball into Williams, had a crack at it. Her mind somewhere between a touch and a shot, and the ball trickles out of bounds with no threat. Kelly O'Hara, one of a growing number of Stanford Cardinal in this lineup. Who had me mentioning Stanford before Julie? U.S. Women's National Team bingo.
Well, then we should stay on this, Sebastian. 7 players on this 23-player roster are from
Van Veenendaal making a mess of that goal kick. Nearly found herself in real trouble, able to scuttle it away. Go ahead, Julie, sorry.
Yes, 7 players from Stanford University. It's fantastic. Usually you're saying that about University of North Carolina players, so sorry, Hansen. Finally, I can say it about Stanford.
Goes Lavelle, turning away from pressure. Good switch. You hear Vlatko screaming, keep going, Dunny. That's Crystal Dunn on the overlap. Dunn, one-on-one. Look at those moves. Dunn with the left-footed cross. Headed to the top of the box. Lavelle on a right-footed volley. Lavelle again, back to goal. O'Hara running out of time and space on the far side.
I have to imagine, though, in these first 15, if you're Vlatko Andonovski on the sidelines, you're pleased. They're pressing, they're winning the ball, they're winning it in their attacking third. They've got a rhythm. And what you're seeing is Berenstein, who's playing right wing for the Dutch, having to do a lot of defending. Martins on the other side as well.
Films the right back for the Netherlands has had tons of time and space out here on this flank. Again on it. Jackie Groenen. Berenstein. Looking for Roord, couldn't find her. And this U.S. defense all over every Dutch attack. Aniek Nouwen to her counterpart in central defense, Dominique Janssen. One-time ball, driven in towards Nair. She comes off her line, collides with Becky Sauerbrunn, but able to collect cleanly.
Little bit better rhythm from the Dutch. I've been watching some of their European qualifiers in the last couple months, and they block. And teams like Kosovo, Estonia, winning 6-7-0.
Here's that speed from Williams down the right flank. Now cuts it back. Had a couple options. And the rebound fell to Press, who fires well wide.
Nice little rebound. Williams with her speed, stretching that defense. Janssen trying to stay with her, and that's the rebound to Press. She just mishits a little bit. Good positioning to pick that up. But that's a handful, and Lynn Williams with that pace.
Kristen Press, her 139th U.S. national team appearance. Sitting on 58 goals. Roord fires wide for Martens. Lika Martens shaking off an earlier injury. Bilms. Vandendonk. Look at Tobin Heath. The high winger in your 4-3-3 all the way back, doing the defensive work. She'll be needed here. Americans unable to clear their lines. Now a turnover. Can the U.S. break through Sam Mewis? Mewis still on it. Picks out Rose Lavelle. First touch good. Falls to Williams. Back for Lavelle, and she was offside. The AR putting the flag up. A couple near misses there.
That World Cup final, Sebastian, when Rose is coming through that middle there, as she did on that long run to score the second goal.
Vlatko Andonovski, two-time NWSL champion with the now defunct FC Kansas City, two-time NWSL Coach of the Year as well. Actually got his professional coaching start in the indoor game, was a Coach of the Year at the Major Arena Soccer League. Born in the former Yugoslavia, now what is North Macedonia. He became a U.S. citizen in 2015 and now leads this U.S. women's national team. Sauerbrunn and Dahlkemper. Such a duo in the heart of the American defense for so long. Sauerbrunn wearing the captain's armband today. This is Crystal Dunn under pressure. "27 minutes into this match between the United States and the Netherlands. First game for the U.S. women since mid-March, She Believes Cup against Japan. Frisco, Texas. Julie, we did that game in a stadium full of people. Something you can hardly imagine now.
And I remember that day, I think it was March 10th, right? It was about a day before the whole sporting world shut down, saying to each other, wow, this feels weird. Like, should we be in a stadium full of people right now? And then the very next day, it all closed down.
Yeah, the U.S. travel ban literally came down, I believe, during our broadcast. Thought we were going to have to stay in Frisco for a few months. Look at that. There's an angle you don't always get.
Yeah,
and I'm sure
we
some
never
coaches
get that
might
angle.
not like.
Can we go back to that, please, on the
By the
world
way,
feed?
this is not an ESPN truck doing it, so don't get mad at ESPN.
We're living off a world feed.
Corner kick coming up for the Dutch here. Nair stays in. Mewis wins the header cleanly. Clattered into, no foul called. O'Hara. Right around Bierenstein. Dahlkemper to launch the American attack. Poor switch, though, picked off by Spitza. No problems. Julie Ertz wins it right back.
Yeah, this is amazing with these boom mics. You could just hear him say it again. Sit, sit, sit. Not let's go, let's go, let's go. And typically what triggers that is Rose or Sam in midfield. And then Vlaco said for that front line, sometimes Tobin Heath will trigger that press.
Heath through, press, one-on-one, Christian press! Puts it in, but the offside flag is up.
Oh, such a beauty of a ball, though, from Heath. Just taking a look. Wow, that is close. Oh, Heath just perfectly lays that in. Look at the pace on that ball. Any harder, Van Veenendaal is there to pick it up. Oh, that seems a little bit harsh. Well done by Press, too, to finish that one off.
And really a beautiful connection there between Heath and Press. It was offside by the slightest of margins. Really hard to tell from the angle we had. Sauerbrunn chasing this one down. Netherlands trying to apply some pressure themselves. Bierenstein forces a bad pass, and the Dutch take over deep in the American end. Half hour down, still scoreless between these two teams, as it was when they met in Lyon. In the summer of 2019, the World Cup final wasn't. Janssen plays for Wolfsburg, swings it wide. More possession here as the half wears on for the Dutch. Still very little danger created by the number 4 ranked team in the world. Oh, nice touch from Dunn. Mewis now. Ahead for Dunn. She's onside. Flag stays down. Dunn into the box. Finds Mewis. Can she turn? Williams.
Oh, such a nice sequence, though, for the United States. All started from that left back position of Crystal Dunn, winning it, breaking free, onside, as you see there, when released. I think they could have been a little bit more unselfish around the box, though, and cranked one earlier. Heath herself.
Fans of the United States will be quite familiar with seeing Crystal Dunn at the left back spot. We should note she plays very different roles for her club teams. Of course, she was the NWSL top scorer one year with the Washington Spirit. And with the North Carolina Courage, effectively plays a number 10 role on what you could argue, Julie, is the best club team in the world.
Yeah. You easily could argue that with the talent they have. But that's what Dunn has always brought, such versatility.
O'Hara pushing forward, misfires on the pass. Of course, Crystal Dunn now with Portland Thorns, just acquired. Interesting to see how she's used in the Pacific Northwest. Janssen misfires. Williams right there.
Well done by Williams with the angle she's taken to press, too. trying to make sure that they aren't able, the Dutch, to find that weak side wide player.
Quick note, the MLS playoffs continues Sunday with another doubleheader. First, Orlando City hosting the New England Revolution. That's a 3 Eastern time kickoff on ABC, followed by Columbus Crew taking on Nashville SC at 8 Eastern on ESPN. We should note Columbus has had a slew of positive COVID-19 tests that could impact that game, but as of now, it is still on. Those matches streaming live, of course, for you as well on the ESPN app. Oof. Classy Megs there from O'Hara on Martins, huh? Who's the attacker and who's the defender in that sequence? Martins looking for revenge. Not going to get it on O'Hara there. So she has earned a corner kick for this Dutch side. Continuing to grow into this match. More and more dangerous as we progress towards a halftime whistle. Julie, the Dutch sending a lot of numbers up on these corner kicks. You can tell they want to take advantage of the few forays they're having deep into the American end.
Exactly. When you don't have much of the ball, which they're not used to, set pieces become critical.
Heath deflected it back in towards her own goal, eventually cleared. Sloppy touch puts Vandendonk into some trouble. And she loses out to Abby Dahlkemper. Press with her back to goal, drops it for Heath. Oh, what a turn. Brilliant little flick too to keep it alive. Now Mewis. Williams with space. Recipe for trouble if you're the Dutch. Williams pushing it into the box. Van Dongen.
It's so brilliant with the boom mics that they pick up. I mean, with no fans, you could hear O'Hara screaming, "Take her, take her." And geez, if you're Lynn Williams with that speed, why not? I would say that to her every time she has a moment to face up.
10 minutes to go in the first half. Fourth corner kick so far of the game for the United States. Kelly O'Hara up into the penalty area. The U.S. sending numbers forwards as well. Left-footed service, O'Hara nearly there. Mewis and Berenstein collide. And the U.S. is going to get this call. And as a result, get a very dangerous set piece in the 36th minute. Berenstein does not like it.
Clumsy, wasn't it? And unnecessary, really. And giving up such a dangerous set piece, which the U.S., as every opponent knows, is so good on for decades.
What do you think, Julie? Is this in shooting range or just outside it?
No, I think Tobin Heath is willing to give this a whirl for sure, but you can see her looking to that far post.
Heath, the chip, and this time Sam Mewis, the guilty party in the box. She's called for the foul, and the Dutch escape for the moment. Jill Roord filling in for Vivian Miedema today. Miedema, one of the top players in the world, out with a hip injury. Coming off a great season.
A great few seasons.
Yeah.
Top scorer every year. That's a woman who knows how to bang in goals.
I believe it's 70 goals in 91 national team appearances. Quite a strike rate. Not the strike there that Kristen Press wanted. The one hopper, no problem for Van Bandendal. Martins loses out to Williams. Press now turning. Looking through for Heath. Van Bandendal saw it coming and sniffed it out.
It is a nice little look, though, that ball in. Heath with cheeky little back flick. Press, you can see exactly what she wants out of it. We've seen her hit that many times, just doesn't get a hold of it.
Williams lumps it ahead for Heath. Great first touch. Now back to goal. Mewis. Mewis.
I think, too, Sebastian, one of the things they're going to talk about at halftime is, okay, you are going to get some fresh legs in. We know that they have players available on the bench. You have Alex Morgan that is available on the bench. You have Sophia Smith is available. Christy Mewis is available. So there will be some fresh legs that come in, of course. But how much can you continue to press given it's been 261 days and picking your moments? Because the U.S. has been incredibly successful when they do have the press in place. And in any other time, they would continue to do that. But I'm not sure if you have the legs to do it, given the circumstances.
Van de Donk sprays it wide. Kroenen. Sauerbrunn first to it. Vlatko Andonovski taking over. Fall after the World Cup. Dutch now with the ball, trying the American right side. Slip between Dahlkemper and O'Hara, but Dahlkemper eventually clears away, only as far as Van Dongen. Nouwen. Martins. Spitza. Martins turns it over, break for the U.S. Here comes Kristen Press. Wide for Lavelle. On the left, Golazo! Rose Lavelle in the 42nd minute makes it 1-0 United States.
You get any prettier than this? And I know we always talk about the goals that Rose Lavelle can score, but to get forward on this in a break right away, Rose Lavelle seeing I have a moment here, I can get in. Oh, what a beauty. A little cut, finds a little bit of space. So nice. And there is the magic of what this young player can do.
Van Bandendal reduced to a spectator. The Dutch looking for a quick equalizer. Nair at the near post.
And Rose Lavelle has really had some limited minutes. Hasn't been starting a lot of games for Man City. Hadn't played in that last game with a little nagging hamstring injury. Wasn't sure if she was going to be able to start.
Press. Looking for Heath. Did not miss by much. Nearly a second for the Americans just before that.
And again, just a little window, finds a little gap.
Boy, Van Vandendal looks heated, huh? Every time the ball goes out of bounds, certainly when it went into her net, she turned and yelled at her defenders. Speak any Dutch, Julie? A reminder, Serie A is now on ESPN News Sunday, 6:25 a.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Lazio, led by Ciro Immobile, will take on Udinese from the Stadio Olimpico in Rome. All Serie A matches this season stream live on the ESPN app. Tobin Heath on her left foot, straight at Van Veenendaal, who fumbles it and gathers just before it crossed the line. The Americans really close to a second there.
Oh, and that one again picked up. You see 3, 4, 5 blue jerseys around the Dutch. Picking it up for Heath. And that's one that really should be put away. Imagine going in 2-0 at this half. That's lots of time. Oh, good save by Van Veenendaal, but that is one that you would typically see Tobin Heath put away.
Crystal Dunn still on it. Right-footed rocket, but straight at Van Veenendaal, who gathers on the second attempt. This Dutch side almost seems to have forgotten there's 45 minutes and a half and not 40. The last 5 minutes have been all U.S. pouring forward, closing in on a goal that would give them a far more comfortable advantage. Spitz again, the pressure from Heath problematic. This is going to be Lynn Williams by a mile. Williams into the box, and again her effort over the bar. Williams getting into all sorts of dangerous opportunities, so far unable to finish.
You know, the amazing thing too is when you look at this Dutch team, they've all been playing, right? They're playing in, obviously in Holland, they're playing all over Europe. They've got 3 in Germany, 5 in England, 2 in Spain, and so they have been getting their matches. That was a big concern for this U.S. team, is that they are going to be played in. They're going to have the minutes. Yet what you're seeing in this first half is a very different story. It's been a lot of the United States. The Dutch lucky to get out of that one, just down 1 goal.
Brief part of that message, quote, "Today we wear Black Lives Matter to affirm human decency. We protest against racial injustice and police brutality against black people. We protest against the racist infrastructures that do not provide equal opportunity for black and brown people to fulfill their dreams, including playing on this team." You can check out the full statement on any of the players' social media channels. Julie, it's not anything uncomfortable for this team to find themselves in the role of athlete activists, is it?
No, and it's something that I think they do remarkably well. And I know it runs through the blood of all of us who played on, for this team, and it's wonderful to see. They talk about we love our country and it's an honor to represent America, but we also feel that our country was founded on liberties and freedom that we should extend to everyone, and they're fighting for that every day.
We've had some changes here at the half. There you see the aforementioned Alex Morgan is in.
The stands there.
Yeah,
her daughter, born May 7th.
Kristen Press, the player that Morgan has replaced. Julie, we should also mention, we haven't talked about it yet, but the equal pay case, as far as athlete activism, this team has really been centered around. Got to go back to March 2019 when the U.S. women sued the U.S. Soccer Federation over gender discrimination. In March of this year, you remember the Federation got lots of criticism for their legal approach in that case. In fact, Carlos Cordero, the president, eventually ended up resigning. In May, though, the women's national team case took a blow. A judge ruled against their equal pay claim. A decision, by the way, you should note the team vowed to appeal. The judge in the case did rule that the national team's Title VII discrimination claim, which is effectively about unequal working conditions, could still go to trial. But Julie, it is worth noting, 20 months on from that original lawsuit, this is still without resolution.
Yeah, and really hasn't moved much. There hasn't been much discussion yet between the players and U.S. Soccer, and so it is sitting and waiting, and hopefully will get resolved soon. And then, not to mention, there's going to be a new CBA in 2021. So you got that whole negotiation starting again as well.
So Morgan, the lone change then at the half, replacing Kristen Press, who did notch the assist on Rose Lavelle's beauty of a first half goal.
And we talked about the U.S. team having not played in 261 days. For Alex Morgan, let's put it in perspective as well. 509 days for Alex Morgan since her last game. That's 16 months and 21 days. And we know what that last game was, the World Cup final against this very team.
I think it's worth noting too, Julie, Vlatko Andonovski has mentioned plenty of times the commitment that it's taken from Alex Morgan, given all that she's been through personally this year, the pandemic as well, to move to England just to get games with Spurs has really been a huge part of her getting back into this conversation.
Yeah, he was so pleased that obviously she took Charlie with her, her daughter, and I mean, and that's a huge decision to make with a newborn, and said, okay, we're going to make this work. Ernie Stewart, knowing this stadium very well, having played here for many years.
A longtime player for NAC Breda, formerly of the Dutch top flight, no longer. And Veenendaal's goal kicks throughout the match really have been awfully short. It's created some problems, but here it leads to a break for the Dutch. Ball slipped through for Martens. O'Hara, great challenge at the last second, probably one she didn't need to make as the offside flag goes up.
O'Hara thought that she was the one getting called for the foul. You could see the reaction from her, not pleased because she got a lot of that ball with that great tackle.
Mewis, O'Hara wide open. O'Hara still on it. Wanted Morgan at the penalty spot. Service falls short. O'Hara trying to go one-on-one around Martens. The Dutch 11 wins that. O'Hara ahead of Martens here. Ball flicked up for Morgan. Morgan back to goal.
On top of Alex Morgan trying to get back from her pregnancy, she also had a little bit of a banged up knee in Tottenham, and so really limited minutes in these last 3 games for Tottenham. Finally getting some minutes though. It's worked her way up to 45 minutes there.
Morgan's 170th appearance for the Stars and Stripes. 5th corner of the game for the U.S. to the near post, and again cleared away by the Dutch. Tobin Heath, 1-on-2, finds Dunn. Dunn's cross deflected out of bounds by Danielle Van de Donk.
Crystal Dunn so active from that right side, and it's so important for her to continue to stay active in this second half, because then you see that front 3 for Holland having to track all the way back into their own defensive third.
Tobin Heath, left-footed in-swinger. Ertz at the near post. She does win it this time. Heath. Spits a big touch there. Otherwise, Kelly O'Hara was lurking. Now she'll have to hustle to get back. Dutch on the counter. Bierenstein, full flight. Becky Sauerbrunn reads it perfectly. 35-year-old center back, and today the captain of this U.S. team, well in command. Williams, gathering ahead of steam, pushes it past Wilms. Williams pumps the brakes. Ertz touch deflected.
Side now for the United States. Wilms, young defender, number 15, only 20 years old for the Dutch. Lynn Williams trying to run at her because Tobin Heath had a ton of success in that in the first half as well.
Player down, Jackie Groenen, the captain for this Dutch side. Shanice van de Sanden, one of the many threats the Netherlands can bring off the bench.
Looks like she got the wind knocked out of her.
Groenen taking a while to shake this one off. See if it draws a change. Arjan Vudink, the man in charge today. Serena Wiegman called away at the last minute for a pressing family commitment. Dutch Federation was sure to remind us that it wasn't COVID-19 related, so a bit of good news there. Just a bit of housekeeping in the 53rd minute, and we're back underway. U.S. leads 1-0. Goal in the 41st minute from Rose Lavelle. If you haven't seen it, you can imagine it. She had time on her left foot, and it was a beauty. Something we've absolutely seen from her before.
And the Dutch have seen from her before. I mean, they must have nightmares about that every time she touches the ball. No!
Janssen. Again, the Dutch, few options but to go backwards. And Veenendaal's clearance yet again puts her team into trouble. Heath coming back from an offside position.
And a good visual of, you can see the U.S. playing in that middle block, and then all of a sudden Tobin goes and the rest of them come. That's the trigger. And they're having such success when they do go, because they're organized, they're going in numbers, they're playing those 2 10s. So Rose and Sam both step.
An opportunity here for the Dutch. Van de Donk goes backwards. Van Dongen. Spitzer. Roord. Forced backwards by Lavelle. Van Dongen. Spitzer. Here are the instructions from the near sideline coming in for this U.S. side. Now one picks out Bierenstein. Dutch retaining possession. Groenen for Martens. Martens one-on-one with Julie Ertz. Ertz wins the battle, but not the war. Corner kick coming up for the Dutch.
Better play by the Dutch, holding the ball, keeping the ball, making the United States chase more, and that's how you get them more fatigued. The Dutch know coming into this game, they haven't been playing a ton of minutes, but they just haven't been able to get them chasing.
Five targets, a sixth at the near post for the Netherlands. Ball whipped in. Mewis first to it, didn't even have to jump. Williams has to sky for that one. Lavelle too. Done in a battle. One she'll win easily. Classy cut from Alex Morgan. Launches it ahead for Crystal Dunn. Turning on the Jets. Dunn just does enough to keep it in. Crystal Dunn. A driven ball straight into the chest of Sari van Veenendaal.
That would have been one for the highlight reel. Dunn winning it, Morgan finding her. Again, you're right back doing a lion's share of offensive work as well.
Pass cut out by Julie Ertz. Alex Morgan as a right back, even if just for a few seconds, Julie. Noteworthy. You get a sense of how fluid this team is, though. You know, players end up in different parts of the field, especially in that front three. They seem at times almost interchangeable. Morgan giving chase. She'll work from the right flank. Lynn Williams occupying the center. From Williams there, not quite on the same page.
I think that's the fluidity too of what Vlatko has brought, is you have a little more freedom for that.
Dunn works her way out of trouble.
Worth noting as well, Sebastian, you've got a midfield in this Dutch team. It's Spitza, their holding midfielder, Schonk, three excellent players, and the U.S. has just completely shut them down. I mean, it just shows you how strong this U.S. midfield is. We've always known that, of course, but we don't even have Lindsey Horan in the picture right now either. Obviously tested positive for COVID before this tournament, so sadly she wasn't able to join the team.
He's to the edge of the area. Ertz now will thump it into oblivion. Jaylene Howell of Florida State, the player called in to replace Lindsey Horan. Initially called into the camp.
I called a lot of ACC games this year. Jaylene Howell plays for Florida State. They won the ACC tournament title, and that is a fun player to watch. She has had quite a collegiate career and I think has a future ahead of her in Jaylene Howell.
Roart wide, couple options in the middle.
But the danger for the United States in this game is it's still 1-0. They couldn't put it away with that Tobin Heath across the face of the goal chance early. Tobin Heath had another one early. The moment the Mewis family has been waiting for. And there's the Rose Lavelle goal, the only goal of this game, which keeps Holland in it.
Look at that smile, huh? You think she's happy to be back in the full national team picture and on the same field as her sister, and we should mention the same midfield now.
Yeah,
Julie,
right,
wow, what a story.
Coming in for Rose Lavelle, we mentioned earlier, Rose has had a little bit of a hamstring issue at Manchester City, and so they knew she was limited to about, they thought 45, so they'll be pleased they got 60 out of Rose, but there is Christy Mewis alongside her younger sister, Sam Mewis. Last time they played together on the national team, 2014. So great to see Christy back and won a title, NWSL title this year. Well, we'll call it the Challenge Cup. I don't know if they called it the title. I think they did, right? With the Houston Dash.
How about that Houston Dash team? One of the organizations in NWSL you always kind of wanted a little bit more from, and certainly this year anyway, they seem to turn things around. We should note the Mewis sisters, just the second pair of sisters to play for the U.S. women. Twins Lori and Ronnie Fair played together in the late 90s. Interesting to hear Sam talk about their relationship, how supportive they've been throughout their professional and even collegiate careers, but going back to their adolescence, Sam says they weren't always so close. So glad to see that has changed and evolved.
That is very typical for siblings. She said we didn't really get along in high school, but now.
Sam said that she, as the younger sister, was always kind of tagging along with her older sister. She thought that might have annoyed Christy. I'm sure they'll be glad to each be tagging along here for this one. An opportunity to get back into the U.S. national team picture for Christy, and she has really, truly earned it. Over the last year, overcoming injury and really turning herself into one of the best players in the NWSL. Tobin Heath standing over yet another set piece. 63rd minute from Breda, Netherlands, excuse me. U.S. playing their first game outside the country since the 2019 World Cup final in Lyon, France. A game they won in a game where they beat this very same Dutch side. 2-0 to score that day, 1-0 to score here. Heath tried to clip it over the top, but it never arrived. Dahlkemper for Morgan at number 13. Such a key target for the United States atop their formation.
And that 9 position, we talked about that in the beginning of this game with Press in there and how well she's been doing, co-leading the team with 7 goals this year alone. She's either had, Mark Connolly pulled this amazing stat for us. Press has either had 26, wait, what was it again? I'm gonna find it.
Well, he's sitting next to me, so I can ask him.
I mean, she's either scored or assisted in 26 of the last 27 games, Kristen Press. And obviously we know the tournament and World Cup that Alex Morgan had in the 9 position, co-led the tournament with 6 goals, then absent with her pregnancy.
Heath forcing her way into the Dutch penalty area, eventually overcome by a triple team.
And then, speaking of triple team, the 3rd threat in that 9 is Carly Lloyd, who we've also seen, especially a re-energized Carly Lloyd under Vlatko Andonovski playing in that 9. She played in it some at the She Believes Cup and did very well in it. She's out with a knee injury right now that actually kept her out of the Challenge Cup, kept her out of the fall series. Carly would turn 39 at the next Olympics. But all 3 options in play. And again, we talk about the embarrassment of riches of these United States team. But that will be a position that is going to be one to talk about in these next 6-7 months before the Olympics.
And it's interesting, Julie, we think so much of the number 9 for goal scorers, but you know, we saw it with Alex Morgan making a great outlet pass for Crystal Dunn, Kristen Press setting up the assist from the 9 spot. You mentioned Lloyd at the She Believes Cup. Her best work was passing and setting up other players, so that's really something that's demanded of that position of under Vlatko Andonovski. Sam Mewis charging ahead. Christy with the touch, one of her first of the match.
And I would add defensive presence. I mean, that's huge for Vlatko Andonovski. He was so emphatic about how much work Carly Lloyd was doing for them based on the stats they were collecting from games defensively, and how much better Kristen Press has become on the defensive side as well.
Sauerbrunn, a rare foray into the opposition's final third. Drops it for Dunn. Christy Mewis wearing the number 22, her sister Sam in the number 3. Offside flag up as Alex Morgan gets in behind. Substitution coming for the Netherlands. and a potentially very dangerous one for the United States. Shanice van de Sanden set to come on. She'll replace Lynette Bierenstein. Van de Sanden plays for Wolfsburg in Germany. This is her 81st appearance for this Dutch national side, and she is so quick.
Fresh legs, a lot of pace. She's gonna try and stretch that U.S. back line.
It's to play here at Radverleg Stadium. O'Hara, Morgan, Williams, back to O'Hara. And her touch just abandoned Kelly at the very end, but a beautiful series of one-touch passes leading to attack there from the U.S. A reminder, the MLS playoffs continue Sunday. Another doubleheader. First, Orlando City hosting New England Revolution. Kickoff 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC, followed by Columbus Crew taking on Nashville SC at 8 Eastern on ESPN. Columbus dealing with some COVID absences, could affect that match, but for now, everything's still on. Game streaming live, of course, as well on the ESPN app. Morgan back to goal, manages to find Heath. Heath and Bilms, one-on-one. Tobin on her right foot. Cuts it in. Tobin still on that right.
Just a little off in that final third, and to be expected 8.5 months. But still, so much success off that defensive press. Every time they're able to get numbers around the ball, the Dutch team cannot handle it.
Van de Donk wide for Wilm. She'll get it back now, the number 10. Groenen turns, fights her way through one challenge. Now ahead for Roord. But the Dutch striker clearly in an offside position.
Kelly trying to step her up just off, as you can see. Kelly O'Hara on the right side taking that little half step forward.
Quiet day so far for Alyssa Nair, huh, Julie?
Quiet day, I was just thinking too for Lika Martens.
Through here for Christy Mewis. Mewis one-on-one. Christy the shot. Goal! Welcome back, Christy Mewis.
And one of the first players there to congratulate her. I mean, family right now, mom and dad at home watching. Look at this ball in though by Lynn Williams. Such a beauty of a touch. Perfectly placed. Mewis having the presence to say, okay, I'm going to keep this low. I'm going to drive this far post. Takes a little sneak peek there. How about that for your first game back with the national team in over 6 years? And the first person to greet her and congratulate her is her younger sister, Sam. That is tremendous.
Thought that smile was wide when she came on the field. Boy, after that goal was she grinning. And with good cause, scoring just 9 minutes, Julie, after she'd come on.
And really not many touches. To be able to finish that off as cleanly as she did gives you an indication of the year she's had and how well she's been playing.
The breathing room the U.S. was very much looking for. That is Christy Mewis' second international goal, but her first since 2013. Julia, you have to say it's rare that a player goes that long outside the national team picture and then works their way back in. I mean, it is really remarkable.
Yeah, and as you said it before, I mean, the things she's had to fight through with the injuries and time away, and then obviously Uswnt having this remarkable run this year at the Challenge Cup, and their success. I mean, it just felt this lift all around that team. And Mewis, Christy, such a huge part of that.
What do we call this, Julie?
That's a little tango.
Yeah, it's a dance, right?
Dance.
Couldn't do that if they tried again, but strange moment there in the Dutch penalty area. Troublesome moment here. Lieke Martens nearly picked out Jill Roord. Becky Sauerbrunn there to break it up. Ertz, big challenge, just does get a touch and springs an American attack. Sam Mewis running at the Dutch defense. She's got Heath to her left, Morgan in the middle. And just as Heath hit the brakes, Mewis hit the pass.
All of that started by the defensive play. Again, how many times do we say this year in and year out of Julie Ertz in that holding defensive center midfield position? Breaks up so much attack, and starts then so much attack for the United States.
I know you mentioned it, Julie, in the replay, but how about that assist from Lynn Williams, too? Just a class touch.
And the timing of that. And it is, we should say again, to think about going 8.5 months as a player without really playing a high-level game like this is so hard to do. And then for that first game to be against such a good team.
Van Dongen, probing ball. Dahlkemper playing it safe, out of bounds. Deep throwing for the Dutch.
Not to shy away from it, because U.S. Soccer had a chance to say, nah, we're not ready. Physically, mentally, we haven't had the minutes. We haven't been able to get them in with COVID. And yet, Vlatko Andonovski said, no, let's do this, because if anything, it will expose our weaknesses. It will show us where we need to be. Substitution then in the 75th. Crystal Dunn will give way to Emily Sonnet, the 27-year-old. Plays for the Orlando Pride. Also going to get our first look at Sophia Smith. This is exciting. Her senior national team debut. She'll be a part of in this group to be born in the 2000s. These kids keep getting younger. Midge Purse set to check in as well. Cannot wait to see Sophia Smith with the U.S. team. We saw what she's done with the youth national teams at the under 17 and under 20 levels. We saw what she did in her 2 years at Stanford. And that was with a terrible injury. Broke her ankle her freshman year. Halfway through her freshman year, she fought back from that, helped lead the team to the 2019 NCAA title.
Good fight in the corner here. Purse, Mewis, double teaming Van de Donk. Nouwen. Purse looking calm at that right back spot. Martens lays it off for Groenen. Van de Sanden, so dangerous. Trapped in a corner here. Martens. One-on-one with Williams, cuts to the middle. Mewis running the U.S. counter, ahead to Sophia Smith. Touch got away from her and the Dutch clear. Mentioned Midge Purse came on. She replaced Kelly O'Hara at that right back spot.
So you had both your outside backs replaced and done. Kelly O'Hara sonnet in at that left back position. Purse at that right back position. Sophia Smith in for Tobin Heath on that left side.
You get to shout out Stanford all the time. Can I shout out Montgomery County, Silver Spring, Maryland, where Midge Purse is from? A hotbed of youth soccer, but really girls soccer. Dominates the Washington, D.C. area. And Purse, one of the legends coming through as a youth player. Oftentimes, Julie, we kind of throw the stats out in soccer, but I mean, that tells you a story, doesn't it? 13 shots for the United States, 0 for the 4th-ranked team in the world, the Dutch.
Yeah, the U.S., we're thinking we're going to figure out where we are in this game and expose, get exposed with some of our weaknesses. I think the Dutch are thinking, oh my goodness. This is what the U.S. team looks like after 8.5 months off.
Van Dongen trying to cut around Purse, no dice there.
Obviously the U.S. just taking a lower block, content to say, all right, you keep the ball for a little bit. We'll stay organized behind the ball. But then they find their moments when that penetrating pass comes in, they pounce. And that's where they've had some of the success with the counters.
Van Dongen heads it out of touch. Lynn Williams applying the pressure. She'll put it back in play quickly. Purse trying to turn out of trouble. Very many options. Purse still on it, and we'll go all the way back to Alyssa Nair. Morgan forcing the turnover. Credit to Spitza. Wins the ball right back for the Dutch. Janssen. Line splitting pass to Martens. Sophia Smith in the 11 charging down. Films on that far side. Called for the foul. You can already see her explosiveness. If you haven't seen much of her, she is lightning fast. And got some swagger to her game, I think, Julie, is a fair way to describe it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we said, how are the younger players doing in camp? Because he doesn't ever want to talk about that. He won't say like, oh, this player's doing well, this one's not, of course. But how are they? And he says, they've been doing well. He says some of them, most of them not quite have found their feet in terms of a little bit timid, which you expect, a younger player coming into a camp like this. And especially having not had many minutes. But he said Sophia Smith in the last day, this was on Wednesday, we talked to him, the last day has just come out of her shell. You can see it, the potential, and running at players and making players, and that's what you saw at Stanford. I think it was actually a surprise to Stanford even that, after her sophomore year, she declared to go into the draft with NWSL.
Purse pushes past Van Dongen there, got held up, but no call from the center ref. Spitz under extreme pressure. Christy Mewis harassing the Dutch number 8. Netherlands, though, still on it. 2-0, same score as the World Cup final. The summer of 2019, Americans beating the Dutch in that game. to claim their 4th World Cup title. Jill Roord. Kroenen. Spitze. Wilms drops it for Van de Sanden. Van de Sanden double team there. A little bit too physical of an effort from Sophia Smith. She's called for the foul. Opportunity here for the Dutch to send some numbers forward.
And Sonnet not pleased with that call either, because they know this is a dangerous position for set piece for Holland. Don't want to be giving these up in the waning minutes of a game. But really, if you're the Dutch, you have to be showing some more urgency. I know it's a friendly, but if you're the Dutch, you're thinking, okay, what can we get out of this game? Start sending some players.
Morgan heads away at the near post. Wilms. Dutch desperate to get a shot on goal, give a listener any type of work. Well, Sophia Smith not being quiet about coming onto this match, Julie, that's for sure. I think the Dutch players are going to remember her.
Here's that second bite at it she was trying to get.
Sam Mewis called for the foul. Take that moment to remind you, Serie A now on ESPN News Sunday. Kickoff 6:25 a.m. Eastern time. Got to wake up early. It's worth it. Lazio taking on Udinese from the Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Italy. A reminder as well, all Serie A matches this season streaming live on the ESPN app. Van Dongen takes her time, probably shouldn't have. Morgan picks off the pass, turns at the Dutch defense. Well intercepted by Dominique Janssen, one of the stalwarts in this Dutch back line, the number 20. Van de Sanden, one-on-one, trying to turn on Becky Sauerbrunn. Emily Sonnet shuts that down with a double team.
So many unknowns as you look going forward for this team as well. Obviously, everyone hopes the Olympics happen next summer, July of 2021. There are plans for a January camp with this team. February, she believes.
Nair under some pressure for the first time.
But again, if you're Vlatko Andonovski, I think you take a lot of positives from this, Sebastian.
Ready the Spitze, the number 8 for Holland, standing over the ball. 7 targets just outside the penalty area. Netherlands desperate here. Cut into this American lead. They may be trouble now, though. Lynn Williams, one-on-one, look out! Just ran out of steam. Credit to Wilms there for breaking it up.
You can see it's just not as tidy as it typically is, and understandably so again.
Van Dongen to Kroenen. Again, the Dutch, plenty of time on the ball, but no penetration to show for it. Alyssa Nair hasn't had to make a save yet tonight. De Donk, spinning like a top. Unable to shake Sauerbrunn. Now Midge Purse joins in. Martins collects. Dutch throwing bodies forward. Counters on for the U.S. Van de Donk. Nice turn from Rourke. Deflected out of bounds. Corner kick. Becky Sauerbrunn with the perfectly timed intervention.
Really the most dangerous look the Dutch have on all night. Van de Donk just slipping that seam into Rourke. Great defensive pressure though by Sauerbrunn to recover. You think about the number of looks on goals though, really not much that Nair has had to do tonight at all. Our day, their night.
Alex Morgan winning yet another header, this one in her own defensive penalty area. Ball just gets over Julie Ertz there. No worries though, as Alyssa Nair gathered. Jill Rourke checking out of the match. I believe it was Katja Snoys. 24-year-old plays for Bordeaux, who has Janssen. Given plenty of time. Looking for Snoys right down the middle. Finally, some type of action there for Alyssa Nair. She paid the price, coming out to the very edge of her box. An alert play from the American goalie.
Only 4 caps for Snowy's, 4 goals in those caps. She's been really good in their European qualifiers coming into this. Jaylene Howe about to check in for the United States, also getting her first cap for the United States. She'll play alongside Christine Mewis there. It'll be a like for like with that Sam Mewis coming out.
Howell from Windsor, Colorado. So is Sophia Smith. So 2 debuts in the same day for 2 players from the same hometown. Purse. Williams. Morgan! Alex Morgan! Yes! No. Offside flag up.
You could almost see the assistant referee going, I'm so sorry to have to do this to you. Midge Purse starting this all off. A beautiful ball in. Lynn Williams again playing the role of provider, and it looks like, oh, it's so close, but it looks like just a lean in. Oh, with Alex Morgan, that would have been her 108th international goal, which would have put her at 4th place all time for the United States, but still getting herself in a great position, finishing it off. She'll be pleased with that.
Julie, I know that this has been a year without as much action as usual, but we should note the U.S. has allowed 1 goal in the entirety of 2020. This will be their 8th shutout and the 7th with Alyssa Nair in net should they be able to finish it off. May add another. Sophia Smith, a well-taken shot, but won't trouble Van Veenendaal from that distance.
And you know, you look back on that Alex Morgan goal call back. I mean, that's one that even, you know, the team would be rooting for her to get. Obviously, Alex would have loved to get that.
She'll
So
love
great
this.
to see her back.
Beautiful long ball, just outside the range of Lynn Williams' speed. And there ain't much that's beyond that range.
8.5 months ago, I would have been there.
Plenty to work on then for this Dutch national team. Arjen Voeding, the man you're looking at now, he's the top assistant for Serena Fiegman. Called away at the last minute, couldn't be with the team today due to a pressing family matter. Little more than hopeful balls forward late in this match for the Dutch. Sloppy clearance could lead to something. Nope, Christy Mewis there to clean it up and now lead the counter. Mewis with time and space. 2 options to her left, 1 to her right. That's where she'll go, Lynn Williams. Mewis again. Morgan. Touch got away from the American number 13. Jaylene Howe knocks it down for Becky Sauerbrunn. Not a misfired pass there, intentionally put out of play. As Danielle Van de Donk, one of the best number 10s in the world, pays the price for dancing with Julie Ertz.
That play again started by that tackle from Julie Ertz. The work she puts in that defensive central midfield role. You can't say it enough.
Well into stoppage time here in the Netherlands. Home side, seeing one of their leaders limp off the field at the tail end of what we have to say, Julie, for this Dutch side, with all they've accomplished in the last 3-4 years, has to be a disappointment.
Yeah, especially as they have, obviously it's a challenge globally for everyone, but they have been getting in more games. They have been playing some Euro qualifiers. They have been playing with their clubs. I think it's going to be a reality check to them of how much growth they still need to have going forward. They've already qualified for the Euros. Have their final qualification game against Kosovo on December 1st, and they're in. But a stark reminder that even the U.S., without any games, is head and shoulders above most of the world.
They're the final whistle from the Romanian referee. The United States 2-0 victors over the Netherlands. The same exact score, Julie, as the World Cup final in the summer of 2019. Not quite as much